Hello and welcome if you're new here. My name is Roxy and I'm the owner of Juniper Bloom Studio, and today is going to be a slightly different type of video where I'm going to be going over how I make digital seamless patterns to sell on Etsy or your own website. This is going to be a two-parter. One part is going to be covering Canva and the other part is going to be covering Procreate. This is going to be the Canva one, and I will be going over 3 different ways that you can make digital seamless patterns in Canva. And then make sure to check out the other video for how to make digital seamless patterns in Procreate, for which I use my iPad Pro. But stay tuned for that. Okay, so when I'm making a seamless pattern on Canva, what I personally like to do is open up a canvas that is 3200 by 3200 pixels. And the reason for this is because I just like big, juicy files, honestly. The bigger the file, the less likely I am to have quality issues with it. However, sometimes this can bite you in the butt, so everybody has their preference. You don't have to do the same size as I am doing. This video is just primarily to show you how to actually make the seamless pattern on Canva and the different ways to come about that, like where to get your graphics from and how to do it ethically and all of that. I hope this goes without saying, but the design that I'm creating today is for educational purposes only. Please make your own design. And with that, let's get into it. So the 3 ways that we will be going over for how to make a digital seamless pattern in Canva: 1, using Canva elements; 2, using outsourced elements such as Creative Fabrica or something from Etsy; or 3, using your own elements. So to start, we're going to just go with Canva elements. This is if you have Canva Pro, which I do. If you do not have Canva Pro, I don't know exactly how it works with being able to use these elements for commercial purposes. I know as a general rule of thumb, you never want to be just using an element or even like 2 just on their own. You want to really make it your own and alter it in some way, making it part of an overall design so that you're not just like, oh, look at this cute graphic, let me just literally put that on a sticker and resell it, if that makes sense. So that being said, that's going to be pretty easy given that we're making a pattern. You kind of have to use more than one element unless you're doing the same thing over and over. So let's just search something like, I guess there's sunshines right there. Let's do retro sunshine, just for a vibe. Let's just go with this one. I think I used it recently, but it's a good one. So we're just gonna put that right there and we'll come back to it. Let's just look up retro in general now and see what we come up with. Let's do this flower. That kind of matches our sun. There's another one. And right now we're not worrying about our format. We're just trying to get some elements that look good together and try to imagine them big or small or rotated. Let's even include this like groovy text. And oh, this one's cute. I think I like this one more, actually. This one looks a little too much like elementary school, if that makes sense. Okay, let's find just like a couple more graphics, and we are going to be adding more later, so you don't have to be married to the graphics that you have picked. The black outline's a little intense, but let's find something. There we go. Lighten that up a bit. So now what you're going to do is try to make these as random as possible in a way that's just like visually pleasing, which I know that's easier said than done. It's kind of hard to explain like composition and what makes this visually pleasing, and maybe what looks good to me doesn't look good to you, but find something that looks good to you. That's what matters in this case. And just kind of move things around, and feel free to copy and paste elements as well, like so. Just kind of get some more dynamic things going on, and you can, when you copy them, you can make them bigger or smaller. Do like a handful of that one. Put one down here. Copy her, bring her over here, and now is when I'm like, okay, I'm kind of running out of elements that make sense together. Let's go try to find some more. One really important thing to note is you don't want to be running over the edge. Like, you don't want your elements like this where the purple box is going off of the paper, so to speak. the paper, if you will. And let's add this butterfly, something cute. Okay. It's good to have more than one of each element because once you do end up multiplying it, if you only have one, it's going to stand out and look like it's multiplied rather than being, so to speak, seamless. So for instance, I just multiplied that groovy and there's only one of this sun, so we're going to duplicate the sun. Maybe here, move this around a bit. That's smaller. And don't worry too much about gaps because we will be able to fill those later. Let's turn this at a different angle a bit. Okay. Let's just go with this for now. So now what I like to do is go share, download. I like to click on transparent background, but if you know what color you want your background to be, then go for it. I just don't like really deciding that until I've seen the whole pattern. So that's why I choose transparent background and then download. Now you're gonna go add page. And then you wait for that download to pop up, drag it down. And now you don't have to worry about all those elements being all separated and weird. You can just kind of work with this. So we're going to make it full size again. And you're going to do this 4 times, but in different directions. So you take this full size one, grab this bottom right corner, and you just want to think opposite. So you take the bottom right corner and you drag it to the top left corner until you're in that upper corner with the whole design, and then you plop it right there. Now duplicate, bring it back to center so you know where you're at. Grab the bottom left corner and do the same thing. Bring it up to the upper right, and then find where it's locking on as if it's on a grid. Those purple lines are going to be what help you out there. And duplicate again, bring it back to center. Now we're going to go top left, bring it to the bottom right. Wait until you find those purple lines. And there we go. And now do the same thing one last time. Top right to the bottom left, find those purple lines and lock it in. Now, if we've done it right, if we aligned it all nicely, we should be able to download this now. And again, I like to do transparent background. Make sure we only have this page selected or else it's going to do a zip file, which is annoying. And then drag that one down here. Now what we do is make the full design the size of those little squares you were working in and multiply it 4 times, and it should theoretically be seamless. Now, you might notice there are some gaps in here, which maybe you're fine with how this looks and you want to leave it as is, or maybe you want to fill in those gaps a little bit more so it looks truly, truly seamless. You can kind of see the square of the design multiplying in some senses. So if you want to get rid of that, what you can do is we go back to this design that we just did with the 4 corners, right? And now we're just going to pick a couple more elements to fill in these spaces. But again, the really important part is we do not want any of our elements going off the edge. The elements already off the edge that are part of the original design, those ones are fine. Those ones are already part of the seamless pattern. You do not want any new elements to be straying from the middle of the design because that's just going to make things messy. Let's add a couple more things. Maybe we'll do this little David Bowie kind of vibe here. And then, like I was saying, you always want to have at least 2 of each thing in varied sizes and locations. You can even flip them if you would like, because then it makes it harder to tell where the design starts and ends. And how about we add some of these sparkles? These are cute. Little elements like this one are really nice once you get to this stage where you're just trying to do kind of little filler spots, because it's really low commitment, if that makes sense. You can just kind of throw them wherever and It just kind of ties it all together. This one, we're going to take that dark line out of there, brighten it up, and then actually let's make it pink. And then draw it super small. And we're just going to use this as another little filler element in any of those gaps that just really couldn't fit a bigger element earlier when we were filling those spaces in. And what we're going to do now is the exact same thing we did before. I'm going to show you the difference in how these designs turned out. So now what we're going to do is download again, current page, transparent background. We're going to add page again, drag that sucker down here and do the exact same thing we did with the last one, where we do the 4 corners but with the full design in a mini form. And again, ideally this will be seamless, especially if you kept all your designs. And now look at the difference between this one and this one. This one is so cute and it's all filled in and it looks like a straight up pattern. And then this one is, you know, still cute. We could still use her. Maybe it would look good on like wrapping paper where you don't want it quite as busy and it doesn't really matter where the edges are because it's going to get all bent up anyway. But this to me would look better on like clothing or a towel or something of that nature. So that is one way to make a digital seamless pattern in Canva. I will make a whole nother video if you would like, and please let me know if you would like this, on how to actually make the listings and how to make the digital files applicable to Etsy or to your Shopify or whatever you are using. Because on Etsy it is a little bit tricky when it comes to digital files because there is a size limit. So the way that a lot of people work around that is PDF files and Google Drive and all sorts of different ways. So if you would like a video on how to actually do the business side of the digital seamless files, then I would be more than happy to do a tutorial on that as well. But for now, what I typically like to do is have a zoomed out, so to speak, multiplied version of the pattern, and then have the zoomed in version of the pattern. And then I get those files into certain different sizes and go from there. But now let's get into the next method of how to create a digital seamless pattern on Canva. So now let's get into the next method of creating a digital seamless pattern on Canva, and that is outsourcing your elements from another platform like Creative Fabrica or Etsy or some other place where you can access different PNGs or images that you are able to use in these patterns. So I'm going to walk you through an example of this. In this particular instance, we are going to use Etsy because I like to support my fellow small business owners, and say what you will about Etsy, but I do be finding some very cute stuff over there. So let's take a quick little field trip on over to Etsy. So I'm going to look up sardines PNGs, and then just in case you are doing this for business use, this is really, really important. You want to make sure if you are getting your materials from Etsy or Creative Fabrica or somewhere like that, that you are keeping an eye out for commercial use and what the details are for that particular seller. So I'll show you what I mean a little later. The sardines PNGs, and then I'm going to put commercial use. Now see, all of this gorgeous art comes up, and I particularly already have this one. So we are going to really quickly give our beautiful seller some credit. Connie Artwork. She also has an Instagram that's phenomenal, so I highly recommend checking this creator out. But look at these cute PNGs. So this is what we will be working with. And as I said before, while this is not my artwork that we are working with, please do not just go and get these PNGs and then copy exactly what I'm doing with it. Please try to find your own style, your own voice, and your own goals and what you want to be creating with your art. That being said, let's get into it with this next method on how to create digital seamless patterns on Canva using outsourced materials. So once you've obtained the goods, you want to upload them into Canva like I just did with these beautiful, beautiful PNGs, which I would like to remind you are not my artwork. However, the artist who made them does have it in the description that you can use them for commercial use up to 100 units. And then after that point, you need to obtain a commercial license. Just keep that in mind for whatever you are going out and purchasing for use in your materials. If you're not going to make your own artwork, just be very, very careful about how you come about it. Make sure you are being ethical and getting a commercial license if that is what is needed. This goes for fonts, this goes for images, this goes for everything. So with that, let's start making a cute ass sardine pattern. So I want to start with, for sure, a lobster, because this lobster is just adorable and very trendy right now. And then let's throw in some sardines or anchovies or whatever these beauties are. Let's do some olives, make them tiny, turn them this way for some visual depth. Maybe do a lemon. The nice thing about buying a set of PNGs like this is that they all match in style, and you can also find sets on Canva that are like this as well. If you're struggling to find things on Canva, you can also look on Pinterest and just search like Canva sets, and people got you. People got your back, I promise. You will find just all sorts of stuff on Pinterest if you're not already a Pinterest girly. I swear by it. As does like everybody else, so I'm sure you're a Pinterest girly by now. I don't know about that shell. We might move that. This one's cute. Let's do this. So right now, I'm not being too particular, same as before, about how I am. See, this one I don't want to use because there's a lot of little text in there. I'm not being too particular about how I'm setting these down because you can always move them around. I'm just trying to get kind of a general vibe of the different images I'm including on here. Do a couple different starfishes. And then, as I was saying a few times before, sorry if it sounds like a broken record, you kind of want to have, this is not required, but it's just something I like to do personally, is to make 2 or more of everything so that you can't tell as clearly where the pattern begins and ends. I'm gonna make everything a tiny bit smaller so that I can fit more in here. Make this a little bigger though, and then this a little bigger. And now I'm going to start duplicating things before I get too crazy. I'm going to do a bigger crab going this way, maybe like up here. Duplicate the lobster, put her over here, going a different direction, and maybe smaller. Let's actually go down here with the lobster for some change in environment, you know? And then flip this one, we'll go horizontal, and we'll go a big shell up here, just to kind of fill in that space. Let's get another yellow starfish, maybe over in this corner, possibly. Turn it so it fits. And then another red starfish. The reason that I like to do 2 of everything, if that hasn't been like cleared up enough already with my yapping, is because say that you only have like this one sardine, no matter how much you try to multiply this, that one sardine is going to make a square with the other sardines, and that will be a dead giveaway of the pattern, whereas the more chaotic it is, the harder it is to tell where the pattern starts and ends, which is the whole idea of seamless, right? So this one I think I'm gonna make tiny and put it like right here, right up in this corner. Again, you don't want to be going over the edges, but you can go right up close to them. Just keep in mind, if you are close to a side, like right here, and this side's really close, those sides are going to be touching. They are going to be like kissing. So just careful. If you don't want your designs kissing, then beware of where you place them. I'm gonna add in another pink element because I feel like there's not enough pink. Duplicate this and flip it horizontally, turn it a totally different direction and place it maybe over here. Now we're gonna duplicate the shell, make her bigger. Be right there. There we go. And the olives. Let's make the olives a little bigger, a little more prominent, and then duplicate. Rotate a different direction. Go over here. A little smaller over here. That. Now, this has not been duplicated, the one that I said would stand out, and the lemon has not been duplicated, but I think everything else has. Let's do another little sardines right here. See, this right here is a little risky, and so are these, because when you wrap the design, so to speak, this and this will be kind of touching, and this will be kind of touching. So what I'm going to do to actually avoid that a bit is switch these two around. Like so. And then add in, here, let's actually move the lemon in here. Turn her a totally different direction. And then we can bring the shell back in, like that. And now that's going to be totally different and not as repetitive when it connects. And once I connect it, I'll try to show you where I mean, where that would have probably come up. Oops. Okay, let's add in a few of these little, it looks like dill or rosemary or something, super cute. Let's just add in a few little ones to just kind of be some filler space. Like I said, with the last method, we're going to end up doing filler space anyway, so don't feel like you're too married to where you're putting things right now. There we go. Make this a little bigger. And let's see. How about we do a couple of cut open lemons? Maybe one down here. Adjust that a bit. There we go. And let's do another one up here, and we can share this space with the seashell here. And then maybe add one more olives, perhaps. I hope that me talking through this is helping even one person, even just one. And by helping, even if it's just like a background noise that's keeping you calm in some way, then sure, then I'm happy with that. Okay, oh, look at these elements that I didn't include though. Those are so cute. So what we can do with those, perfect little segue, is we can use them for filler space. So for instance, this tomato is not going to have a double, which like, oh my God, uh-oh, like what are we gonna do without doubling it because it's gonna look crazy? Well, what we're going to do is just promise ourselves that we will double it once we multiply the pattern. So I'll show you right now what I mean by that. So like we did before, we're going to share, download. I like to do transparent background. You know how I feel by now about it. Current page, download. And then while that's downloading, go add page. And then we're just going to grab that from up there once it's done. Perfect, here we go. So like I said before, we are going to make this all the way big, and then this is going to happen 4 times. If you need a refresher on this part, this is your perfect little moment. We're going to take the whole thing, grab the bottom right corner, and drag it to the top left corner until it lines up with the purple lines. Now duplicate it and center it, and do the other side. Bottom left corner to the top right corner, always going opposite. Line it up with the purple lines. Go again. Top left to bottom right. Line it up with the purple lines. And line it up. Top right to the bottom left. Line it up with the purple lines. Now in theory, you don't have to line it up every time if you've put that together by now. If that's you, then that's great. That's great. I'm proud of you. You get a gold star, and I mean that with no sarcasm. I mean that with love. Okay, so now that we've got our pattern kind of going, our seamless pattern, we see these little blank spaces here that we are able to now fill. So what we're going to do is first take the tomatoes, because we promised ourselves we would come back to the tomatoes, and find somewhere to fit those. Now this one's going to be kind of tricky because they're a weird shape. I think we're going to have to flip it and just make it kind of smaller, and then fit them right in there. Right there. See, and now the tomatoes have a double. Let's find some more fillers. Let's do this seashell that we haven't used yet, and just make sure we multiply it somewhere. Let's go right there. And now I feel like we need some more blue, so let's do this anchor and see if we can fit her somewhere. You know what, maybe we can delete one of the lemons actually and make room for that anchor. Beautiful, beautiful. Sometimes we have to make sacrifices. There were a lot of lemons. And then maybe another anchor, just a little one right here. That might give our pattern away too much, but we're not taking it too literal right now. I think I'm getting a little too into the weeds right now. And then let's add one more little tiny starfish right here. Now I feel like there's still some extra space up here that I don't like, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with that, but that's kind of the trial and error of this whole thing, is just filling in the space where you feel it makes sense. So now I'm going to just use these flowers, which obviously you can't really see them now, but if I change the background color, they will be very visible. And I do plan on changing the background color. So here we go. Let's download this transparent background current page as per usual, and then we grab a new page and wait for that sucker to download. Bring her on down. And now look how cute. It's so satisfying to me to like see that whole pattern just as one. I'm going to multiply it to see how it looks. Zoomed out, so to speak. There we go. And now in order to see those flowers, which it honestly looks okay without the flowers, but in order to see the flowers, let's change the background color to maybe just a nice like beigey green color. And then now you can see those white flowers a lot better on this background. And then if we do the same thing right here, change the background color, and voila. Now you have a digital seamless pattern yet again. And I did not show you before how to change the background color, but now you also know how to change the background color, and why I like to keep it transparent as I'm designing, because then once you see the full picture, you can kind of work with different colors and pick one that works for the particular design that you are making and what you want to do. Because as you can see, the background color makes a huge difference in how your pattern looks. And maybe you just want to leave it transparent so you can throw it on whatever. That is completely up to you. Okay, and on that note, let's get into the third and final method for creating a digital seamless pattern on Canva. And this one is a tiny bit convoluted because you do kind of need more materials than just Canva, but I will get into it. The third and final method is using your own artwork. And I personally love this method, but I will explain to you some ways around it if you don't really have the design software necessary to do it in this way. So for this final method, I already made my designs and I made them in Procreate, which is actually how I will be making the digital seamless patterns in my next video. But if you don't have Procreate, you can use any design software that works for you. You can even use the Notes app on your phone to an extent. There is a lot of different ways around it, and I recommend watching different YouTube videos on that. I'm not going to be fully covering it in this one, but as you can see, I just uploaded some random PNGs that I myself made. Just uploaded these bows. They're all different sizes right now, but what I'm going to do is just kind of distribute them. This one I'm going to do kind of lazily because at this point you kind of, I assume, get the pattern of making a pattern, but I'm just going to kind of distribute these. I want to make sure I have at least more than one. And the only reason I am showing you this method as well is just to show you that if you don't really want to make the patterns in an app like Procreate, which again I will be showing you in my next video, then you can make the designs, upload them to Canva, and then just follow the exact same steps that we did before for the other patterns, and it works fantastic. I highly recommend doing it this way if you get kind of overwhelmed by the really like hyper technical aspects behind Procreate, because I feel like it's kind of easier to mess up in Procreate, whereas Canva is a little bit more foolproof, for lack of a better term. So it's up to you, whatever you like using. I am just presenting you with some different options. So this is kind of a funky pattern because it's like just weird, like mismatching bows, but it is purely for educational purposes. And then I will also show you an example of a much more fleshed out pattern that I did create with this design. So here we go. We've got the bows, and then you can just do the same process that we did with these other patterns. Ultimately, the pattern I created looked like this. This is actually a combination of designs from my summer drinks series from this summer. All of my different summer cocktails and the matching bows that went with the different cocktails. And these designs I use for t-shirts, I use them for stickers. I have recycled them into this digital seamless pattern, as you can see. So maybe you have the resources to make these patterns or to reuse your art in ways that you might not have thought of before. And hopefully this has opened your mind up to some different ways that you can create digital seamless patterns and hopefully make some money off of them. Like I said before, if you would like me to make a video describing more of the business side of things and how to list these and also upload them specifically with Etsy, can be a little bit funky, then let me know. I'd be more than happy to. And stay tuned for the next video where we go over how to do all of this, but in Procreate, as well as a really basic 101 on how Procreate works and how to make the designs that I made to put into here. So I hope so much to see you in the next one. I hope you have a groovy week, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.